Playoffs? Playoffs? You got that right. Let's get after it, fam. This is Football Friday. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to INC Live Football Friday. The Iceman is here. The coach is here. The Pac-12 title game is on. And as the famous Jim Mora once said, playoffs, we are here. It is December 1st. Coach, it's been a while. I didn't see you last week. Thanksgiving was not your favorite day. So welcome to everybody. And it's good to see you, man.
Iceman, happy to be back. It was it was a rough week around the Powell household. Just Thanksgiving had some illness going around, and it carried through the weekend a little bit. It was sort of intermittent for me, and then it hit me really hard at the beginning of this week. But I missed out on the live show on Thanksgiving, and obviously we skipped out on Friday night. And so here we are, though. Glad to be back. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. We still managed to cook a little Thanksgiving meal here. I think on Sunday, we cooked a little turkey and some sides, and still got to enjoy a little bit of our favorite things that come along with Thanksgiving. So hope everyone else got to do the same, man. And I mean, I'm sure you're maybe it's nice to get out of town, but I'm sure you're happy to be back in your domain, settled back into the Iceman lair as we get ready to gear up for Christmas.
It's funny you say that because last week was very tiring for me. James did not sleep well, and it was a lot. The weather was weird. I had a migraine on Monday. I ended up getting sick. For anybody who's watching, you can probably hear that my voice is not even quite back. It was lost earlier this week, and I just couldn't even do anything. I haven't done fire footwear yet this week because I just don't have the vocal cords. So this is the first time I'm actually using my voice a lot, and I just have to share something with you. So this is not related to football at all, but I think people can relate to this. So I don't even want to say I had a Karen moment today, but I had a moment with a customer service representative today that I try to avoid at all costs, because whenever I call somebody from customer service, I remember when I worked there and it was awful. It was one of the worst jobs I ever had, right? And it's a first world problem. Most of the time when I'm calling about something, it's a first world problem. And for this, I was calling about my Nespresso machine. I'm a big coffee drinker, as you know, and if you've ever listened to this, you know that. And my wife bought me one last year for Christmas, and over the course of the year, it has just stopped working. And it's disappointing because I like to have it in the morning whenever I'm up by myself and just nice sip. So I called them this week when it finally breaks. They were great. They run me through the troubleshooting stuff, which I kind of rolled my eyes at, but whatever. And so they send me a new one. So the new one comes in today, and it doesn't work. And now I'm already kind of like, okay, I'm a little not happy with this, because if you send me a new product, it should work. And so I call customer service, and they run me through the troubleshooting stuff again. And I'm getting more and more agitated because I'm like, I just told you that this is a replacement product, and you're going to run me through, you can tell that the person is reading from okay, I'm supposed to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
Right. So I was not happy when she was like, sir, you're just not understanding what I'm saying. And I was like, okay, done. So I ended up calling back after I cooled off and was like, look, I don't even want to go through this anymore. Just want to return the product. So, because I know they recycle them. So can you send me a return label? That turned into this whole thing. And so the lady comes back and she's like, look, my supervisor said, and I was like, I'm gonna cut you off. Put the supervisor on the phone. Because I know, if the supervisor is going to make the edict, I just want to talk to this person. And the person comes on. They were nice. They actually heard me. They were going to send me another product, which I didn't even ask for, didn't even want. But I was so mad because I try to be so calm whenever these things happen. And there's just a few times when a customer service rep, maybe they're having a bad day, I'll give them credit for that or whatever, right? They say the wrong thing. They probably don't mean it. And I lost it today. So I was a little on edge earlier today. And I finally got the machine working. I've had 7 of them now, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think that part of it is usually people that work customer service level jobs typically are entry level positions, right? more often than not. And anymore, you're lucky if the person you get on the phone when you call customer service is somewhere in this country. Um, so I mean, sometimes there's even a language barrier that happens. Also, as you know, as we all know, there are a lot of stupid people out there, right? And I have a feeling that these customer service representatives, and I work for a company that has a customer service department that deals with customers directly. Um, they deal with a lot of dumb people. And so I think they get conditioned over time to almost assume that everybody's stupid. And obviously, when they get an intelligent person like yourself on the phone and you've got to go through the whole rigmarole, and you're right, they're just reading a script and going through the steps there. Because I'm sure if they don't and they try to skip ahead, whoever their supervisor, did you follow the script? Did you follow your steps? So
100%.
on and so forth. And uh, yeah, and usually by the time you do get to a supervisor, you do get a little different level of service, I would say, for multiple reasons. One, they wanna retain you as a customer. Two, they're probably a little more polished in their, uh, delivery when it comes to dealing with customers and things like that, a little more professional. But and that's not across the board. I've dealt with some great customer service people,
Hmm.
but I've dealt with some awful ones, and, I'll kinda share a brief experience I had recently. So, um I don't know, have you ever done any of the meal subscription things like HelloFresh, for example?
Yeah, we do Home Chef.
Okay. So, um, we've tried several different ones and most of them, I think most of them are okay. It's just sort of like, we'll do it for a little bit and then, okay, now, and then we'll do it. And it's very convenient, when you can do it. So we, we fired up doing HelloFresh here recently, and, the box is supposed to show up on a Monday, and it's Monday, and the box doesn't arrive, and so I, it's Monday, it's getting late in the day. I get an email from FedEx saying that your box has been delayed for this, and this reason, but have no fear because it's packed in a way that it can be delayed one day and still be good to eat and whatever. But, you know, I'm the type of person that's like, if you don't push back, if you don't advocate for yourself, no one else is going to, right?
Very
And
true.
so I call customer service to just start asking about it. And I'm like, listen, like, part of the reason we do this is, we're counting on this box showing up. So we plan on, to plan out our dinner plans for the week, so on and so forth. One of the best things about this is it's thoughtless, right? It alleviates some potential stress that comes with the day-to-day grind of being a full-time working parent. So, yada, yada, yada. And as the guy's talking to me on the phone, he's like, and again, this is a deal. I was talking to somebody, um, if he wasn't in another country, he's certainly from another country, and that doesn't mean they're a bad customer service person. It's just we've all been there. So, uh, he says, "Sir, I'm looking at the tracking, and I see a picture here, and it looks like it's on your doorstep." And I'm like, "Man, like maybe it is. Like, I'll go look." I
Yep.
was like, "But I looked right before I made this phone call, and there was nothing there. I wouldn't have called you if it was on my porch."
Obviously.
And so I go open the door, and sure enough, man, there it is. And it's like, "Fine, great." Like, happy it's there. And like he's like laughing at me. Like, it's almost like, "Haha, sucker, like, you thought you were gonna try to, like, get something." I don't know, it really bothered me. I'm like, "I'm glad you think this is funny, like, I wouldn't have wasted my time to go through all this if it was sitting here."
No,
Um,
that's the thing that got me today was going through the stuff, especially after, well, especially when you know that these people have notes for every call because they're tracked, their supervisors look at them. It's a learning tool. Like that's what I did when I worked for Dish Network. And I just said, like, this is a replacement product. So if you're sending me a replacement for something that was already broken, to me, this is not your typical support call. And I think that's why I was like, man, this person is not reading the room. And then when they take a shot at you, when I'm already like, you're getting more agitated, and it happens to everybody. So it just was one of those where I'm like, I hate when this happens because my mom used to be like that. My mom used to be like super, I've got to win every battle. And I'm like, look, it's not that serious. Like, just do me a solid by making me feel like you care about me as a customer. And it really doesn't take a whole lot, right? Like today, it would have been like, hey, that's really not great. Let's just like let's just send you another one because at this point you've already sent me a refurbished item, which I knew they told me. So anyway, that was that whole thing. So let's not belabor this. It is what it is. I'm not going to be this upset, but as we are broadcasting here, Oregon and Washington is playing in a game that I hope ends 65-60. Right now, Washington is up 10-0, and Oregon, I think, is in the red zone.
Yeah,
So we'll,
surprised by that start though. We talked about it
yeah,
before we came on, right? Oregon came into this game a 10-point favorite, and
yes,
I did think that was a lot of points for sure. But like I feel like what we've seen throughout the year is Washington has seemed a little tired. I think, it's like
yes.
they've just been getting by and finding ways to win games, but they've seemed exhausted, and Oregon seemed on the upswing, if anything. And so I really thought Oregon come into this game and kind of go out there and impose their will on Washington a little bit. I mean, not to the tune of a 10-point spread, but I didn't think that um, I didn't think the result was necessarily going to be in doubt, and so I'm not giving Washington enough credit, obviously.
Well, and I think that that is a narrative coming into this game. So we kind of changed things up a little bit because I'll be honest, I forgot that this game was on tonight while we were broadcasting. And when Brad said, "Hey, it's going to kind of be like a watch party," I was like, "Well, shit, I probably should change the title to get some people to come here, and we should talk about that first." So normally we have a cadence for these things, but it's championship week now, so there's not that many games to talk about. There's not that many narratives to talk about. It's all about the playoff. And this game right here, to me, I'm actually kind of glad that this game is first because this game is almost kind of like a linchpin for what could happen over the weekend. If Washington wins this football game, they're in. I think everybody knows that, right? I mean, they're solidly, I think, at number 3. So
I
I
think no
can't.
matter who wins, they're in.
Well, and so that's an interesting one, right? Because if Oregon wins, that's the first, I call it the first chaos. They probably do get in. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't get in. I'm saying that whoever wins this game, Pac 12 was really good this year. They both had to play a lot of really good teams, tough games. And when I look at Oregon, they're trending upward, unless, of course, they'll probably lose this game now that I said that, but they're trending upward. And I actually was talking to a Washington fan of mine last week, trying to get her on the show. We're going to get her. Veronica, we're going to get you on the show to talk about the Dubs if they make the playoff. And I said, they look tired. And you exactly just said that a few minutes ago. But I say this is the linchpin because it's like now the one-loss teams are coming to the party, right? And so what else happens tomorrow? And what happens if Alabama wins? What happens? Like there's so many different things that could happen. And this one is kind of the first domino that could fall. But I think what happened is that people started doubting Washington, like you said. And when you watch the way that they played, it's a tough schedule, man. Like it's a grind. And when you're the top dog, no pun intended, people are coming out for you. And Washington is that team. Do not. I'm not going to have this today. I'm not going to have this.
He's
talk
probably
today.
going to elaborate, I imagine.
I'm
If
sure
he
he'll
doesn't,
elaborate.
we talked about this though last night because he came in and he goes, "I think I need to root for Iowa this week," and I'm like, "Why?" Like
For Notre Dame to make the playoff?
No. He just goes, "Well, just for chaos sake,"
Oh, I know.
like we talk about. He's like, it's just gonna add to the chaos, which does make it entertaining. Like from just the average fan, if you don't have a dog in the fight, chaos is fun. In
It
my
is. No, I
opinion.
agree. So let me ask you something. This
As
came
we
up.
said, the Ducks kick a field goal, right?
Yes, that's
10-3 now.
Good.
So
See, this is why you're here, professional broadcaster, giving us the score. It's already in commercial here for me. So I guess you were about a minute.
no,
behind me on
this
I don't know.
happened. This happened when you were still talking. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
You should have. You should have just been like
hard
field
stop.
goal Ducks, and that's it.
Field
Yes.
goal Ducks.
Yeah. Anyway, so this came up, and it came up in regards to Iowa because I'll be perfectly honest with you, and I've been trashing Iowa offense all year long.
Rightfully so. I mean, they do enough to win, but rightfully so.
Their defense is elite. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's not the case. But offensively, I can't anymore. I can't. I can't do 15, 12 point, 11 point games. Like I'm tired of watching this. And so I was railing. We're watching. I can't remember what we were watching. We watched a lot of football this weekend while I was at my in-laws, and I said I can't stand Iowa. Like this team just is horrible to watch. The defense is fun, but like offensively, it's horrible to watch. Like from a consumer perspective, it's terrible. My father-in-law is like, yeah, but they win. And I was like, that's my question, right? Is from our fan perspective, is just winning good enough? You have to be entertaining too, right? Like you have to be fun to watch. I can't do this. I can't watch Iowa matriculate down the field 2.5 yards a carry or 2.5 yards a play.
These days, yeah, there's a lot of weight that's put on the entertainment value, 100%. And Iowa doesn't really bring that, obviously. And so
Not at all.
no, not at all. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't think they have a chance to win the game by any means, but it's it is. I mean, is there a team that's been more consistent? I mean, sure, maybe Alabama's or whatever, but I'm talking about like that second tier. Is there a team that's just maintained that sort of consistency for as long as Iowa has under Kirk Ferentz? I mean, they've had a couple down years, but like, and despite the Big Ten West, because it hasn't always been that way. Just maybe here the last 10 years possibly, but he's been there forever. I mean, I just think the consistency is really impressive.
Is it consistency or complacency? You could make the argument that they could have gone to higher heights had they moved on from Ferentz a little long ago, right? Like,
That's a tough thing to do, though.
I
Like, do you
agree.
give up? Do you walk away from 10 wins a year for flair?
So let me ask you this, though. With both of these teams moving into the Big Ten next year, are 10-win seasons on the horizon for the Hawkeyes now? Because they cannot offensively compete with either of these teams.
No, you're right. And so, yeah, something's going to have to change at some point. You are 100% correct about that. Yeah, so Washington's taking the field now. Looks like there's a touchback. So, I mean, if they could engineer a scoring drive here, I don't know. Did they get the ball first?
I don't know, but Big Penix Energy just threw like a 15-yard pass.
Yeah,
so
so you're
we're in good shape
definitely
here.
ahead of me a smidge.
All right, so you should be the one broadcasting this, so we don't give
You're
all
fine.
of
Well,
these
I'm
things
sure
away.
everyone else is watching too, but
We say that.
so here's a question, not to jump too far ahead, but
Yes, go ahead.
it's fresh in my head because I saw it the other day, and my dad mentioned the committee. So I have a question for you: should the playoff be comprised of the 4 best teams, or the 4 most deserving teams?
So what qualifies as deserving, right? Because you're picking the 4 teams. So in my mind, if you're deserving, aren't you the best? Like, don't they sort of go hand in hand with each other?
Well,
Because
let's talk about a couple scenarios. So let's say that um, let's say Oregon wins this game,
sure,
Michigan wins, um, Alabama wins, Texas wins, Florida State wins. So let's say that you're for sure. I think you get Michigan, Oregon. I don't know that you could leave out Alabama as the SEC champ. I think you'd have to put them in. So now you're talking about Texas, who beat Alabama, right? And
yes, it's what I brought up to you the other day.
sure, and then an undefeated ACC champ, Florida State. If those two teams met on neutral field today, who do you think the better team is? I tend to think it's Texas, but again, I haven't been very high on Florida State. Now that they've lost their starting quarterback, maybe even more so. Do you think that they are one of the 4 best teams in the country, even if they run the table and win the ACC? Do you think they're one of the 4 best teams in the country? I do not.
I don't either. I've been saying, actually, last week, Thursday, I think you had dropped, and the new guy, the Pacific Northwest guy, who I wish was here, he's probably actually watching this right now, and he's going to freak out in a minute when you get your update. But I said that I thought that Washington should have been ahead of Florida State long
Whoa.
ago.
Bomb.
Yeah, long ago. I thought that Florida State was overranked, because if you look at their wins throughout the season, and I think that this does matter. I mean, it matters when you play them, but had Florida State played LSU later in the season, is it Jaden Daniels? Is that what his name is? Is it Jaden?
Isn't that the kid at LSU?
Yes, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking
sure,
about.
sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Had they played LSU later in the season, would they have beaten them? Right? They
Sure,
played them
yeah.
in week 1, which is the best time to play another team because you're both coming out fresh, right? Would LSU have beaten them now when they don't have their quarterback? And I mean, injuries happen, right? But they don't have one of their best players. So I never thought that their resume was that impressive. Clemson was down this year. The ACC across the board wasn't that great. They played a lot of bad teams. Wake wasn't that great. BC is a bowl team, but they're not that great. They struggled against them. Pitt stinks. They beat up on Virginia Tech, who's a 6-6 team. Thank God. Bowl. Thank you, college football gods, for a 55-17 beatdown of UVA. But you see my point though? Like,
Yeah.
But the problem though is when you start doing resume comparison is like, are we picking talent or are we picking best based off of the results of their season? It's hard to leave out an undefeated conference champion because it's hard to run the table most of the time. Most of the
Well,
time.
we'll find out how much value they put on conference championships, I guess. And I
Yeah.
mean, obviously now, like most of you've already seen it. Washington scores on that little touch
Yeah.
pass to the slot receiver in jet
Yes.
motion across the formation. They are preparing to kick the extra point. Looks like there's a penalty, and so not sure if they're getting backed up or if that was on the Ducks. Which one was it?
You'll see in a minute, but
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, Washington took that line personally. They took that Vegas line personally. And
Yeah.
if I were their coach, I would 100% use that as motivation to be like, really? We're undefeated and we already beat this team. And they're making us 10-point underdogs. Like, that's motivation. That's getting plastered up on the bulletin board the same way Dan Lanning used all of the hype around Deion Sanders in Colorado in their massive win against them, their statement win to really send poor Colorado, one of our teams, into a tailspin.
Sure.
But it is what it is. They were who they were who we thought they were.
Yeah, and talking back about the conference championships too, I think that we're going to find out because it's going to be interesting. This puts the committee in a tough position, knowing that we're moving to the 12-team playoff, and the way they have the 12-team playoff structured was giving buys to conference champions, right? And so if this year they go out there and let's say that they leave out an undefeated Florida State that's an ACC champ, or one of the Oregon, if Oregon finds a way to win this game, or Texas is the Big 12 champion, if they leave out a conference champion for for someone who's not a conference champion, I think that they're kind of crapping all over their idea of the conference championships matter moving forward, right, into the new playoff structure.
Yes, but they also artificially added these games for money. Like, these
Right.
games didn't exist. And the part that is hard for me is when I look at Georgia. If Georgia loses this weekend, it's their first loss in 30-something games or whatever it is. And if you look at their resume, they beat all of the ranked teams that they were supposed to beat. And let's say they lose in a one-game sample. It happens all the time. And I'm like, is Georgia still one of the best 4 teams in the country? Like, I feel like they are. Then this is where it becomes hard. And this season, in my opinion, is a reason why the playoff should have been expanded before. And we've talked about that before because it's like more teams, more opportunity, more football. It feels like everybody wins.
Yeah, and
except the students apparently because they need to go to take their exams.
Right.
It's gonna
no shit. It's gonna look more like it's kind of gonna become like college basketball conference championships in the big conferences, right? Where the conference tournament in the ACC and the Big East and Big Ten doesn't really matter that much. It's more for like seeding purposes, if anything. It may matter to a middle of the pack team if they can go on a run. It may get them into the tournament. But one thing I think it'll do to these conference championship games is think about this. Louisville and Iowa are essentially playing for nothing, right? And Oklahoma State, they're playing for nothing this weekend.
Makes them
I mean,
dangerous.
the conference championship, but they can't make the playoff unless, I mean, I just don't think there's any way they can make the playoff. But next year, like, come on now, like, if Iowa were to win, do you think? I mean, you could argue they're not one of the 12 best teams in the country, but if they win the conference championship, they're going to be in the playoff. And guess what? They might have a bye. Probably not. They'd probably be like the 5th seed, so they'd have to play the 12 in the first round or whatever. But they would get to host up. They'd be a conference champ. They'd get to host a playoff game against the lowest ranked team in the playoff. So it's very interesting from that perspective. So I guess as I'm talking myself into thinking that conference championships matter now, moving into next year in that sense.
But in next year's scenario, they're making it more like the pro structure, right? Because how many times, not that many, but there have been times where a team with a sub 500 record has won a division and been gifted a home game. And I was against that, but now I realize that that's the way that it works, right? You are rewarded for winning your division. You can't do a whole lot about how your division is. You beat who you beat and lose to who you lose to. So if next year they're going to tell us that, yes, we're putting a specific premium on winning it, and winning your conference guarantees you entry into the playoff, it matters. But with this scenario, when you have 5 power conferences and only 4 slots, you can't reward every single one of them, even if they're all undefeated. Only 4 teams can make it in. And so that's where it's hard. And Jonah brings up a great point, right? What happens if Notre Dame is undefeated right now? They don't play a conference tournament.
Right.
They don't play a conference championship game. So
if it was right now an undefeated, I'm not saying this is right, just because it's Notre Dame and because of the notoriety, if NotreAme was undefeated, they would be ranked in the top 4 right now, and they would make the playoff.
Oh, I 100% agree.
I mean,
with
especially,
you.
and that's not even taking into consideration the schedule they played this year. If they would have went undefeated with the schedule they played this year, they'd 100% be in the playoff. Now, next year, I think, Jonah, you're probably asking next year, right? Notre Dame's not in a conference. What happens? Well, all they have to play for right now is just to get in. So the best they could hope for, and I did hear they were doing a proposal to move. Did they say the top 6 ranked conference champions are guaranteed to make the playoff? Is that what it is? I thought it was 6, but then there was something the other day that came out and said they want to move it down to 5.
I can't,
because I think their charitable thing they were doing is like throwing a bone to, like, the American or whatever. If you get a Cincinnati, a Boise State, one of those types of teams, UCF, something like that they would have a way in, because they would likely be ranked high enough that they'd be one of the top 6 ranked conference champions, right? So,
well, hey, you got Tulane and Liberty. Liberty's going for an undefeated season right now.
Yeah. So, but it would depend on, I don't know. Gosh, what if the freaking like 6th ranked or the 6th highest ranked conference champions, like the 23rd ranked team? You know what I mean? That might be why they're trying to knock it down to 5. But
how many times does a team win their conference tournament before March Madness who gets in and they're like 19-16 or something like that, and they get in, and that's the structure.
Yes.
So if it's the defined structure, winning your conference matters. But I think
you're bringing the Cinderella to the college
Sure.
football playoff a little bit, right?
And
but
football is different, though. You know that, right? Like,
yes.
The Cinderella may exist. Like, if Iowa was the 5th seed and they win their conference, they could lose to the 12, right? Or whatever the structure
they
is.
play the 12, yeah.
The 12 probably ain't making it very far after that, because they may have to play like Alabama or some shit like that. And it's like, okay, well, now it's probably over. But
right.
you get what I mean? Like, the basketball has a way of making Cinderellas happen more often, but football is really hard, especially if you're playing them week after week, and top to bottom, those conference champions above, like, they just have so much more talent. Like, it's just hard.
Yes, but Notre Dame would get in as an at-large, and they would, as long as they were seeded 6th or better, they would host a first-round game.
Yeah, and so that's what I mean. This year, though, for me, it just feels the playoff, the 14 playoff has been an improvement over the BCS in some ways, right? But also, it still feels very subjective and arbitrary, and it's hard because, like, last week they asked one of the committee members, like, why is Oregon ahead of Texas? Texas beat Alabama, right? So, like, you'd think that would matter for something. And he was basically talking about Bo Nix's completion percentage, and I'm like, what? Like, that has nothing to do with the team. And hold on,
we need to get him some intro music. That'll work.
Yeah. All right. So let's get the old Mario headphones on. That's very, very important, right? And boom, boom.
Hi, James.
Right. Microphone is on, my man. So, hello, James Allen. How are you?
Good.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, as the graphic shows, our guest picker has improved his record he is now 9-3. He did split last time, so he insisted on picking 2 games. And so he went with 2 games to pick Miami over Louisville. Now, Miami was very close to pulling off that upset as we were driving to South Carolina. It just did not happen. And the Brown over the Steelers, whatever. The Browns over the Steelers was an absolutely terrible game.
The Brown,
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it was. It was a big, giant turd. So James is now 9-3, and he has insisted on picking more games that are now wet. So we will try and do this now. James Allen, are you ready to pick some games for us? Okay? Okay, first game. I want you to say the schools, and then you will pick who's going to win, okay? Can you say, and I hope Dave is here, Michigan?
Michigan.
And can you say Iowa?
Iowa.
Okay, now think about it. Who's going to win?
Iowa.
Oh no,
Whoa.
I
Yes.
can't. No.
You are
sure?
going to be so conflicted.
No.
Wait a minute. All right.
Oh no.
Hold on.
Oh, come
Iowa.
on.
Say Iowa.
Iowa.
Michigan. Who's going to win?
Michigan.
Okay, that's a lot better. That's a coerced pick by me, but trust me, I can't root for Iowa. I cannot root for. I can't do it. So
Protest
Iowa
that
is a 22-point underdog in the Big Ten championship game. So that should be amazing when they score 0 and we still hit the over here. Okay, do you want to pick another game?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is actually a really, really good one for you. Okay, can you say 49ers?
49ers.
Eagles.
Eagles.
Okay, which one of those two teams is going to win?
Eagles.
Okay, so we have the Eagles defeating the San Francisco Brock Purdy's on, I think it might be Sunday night. I can't remember, but that's going to be the game of the weekend in a week slate of NFL action. So, James, you could get to double digits this weekend. I think you're going to with that Michigan pick that I 100% didn't coerce. It's going to be wonderful. So, James, today is December 1st, and what does that mean?
Santa's coming.
That is correct. That is correct. Santa is coming. James is going to be on his best behavior for the next 24 days as his parents blackmail him and coerce him into good behavior for what does Santa bring?
Present.
That is correct. James is looking forward to a long list of Paw Patrol toys and other things. So, James, my man.
Across America, my friend.
I agree. So I'm looking forward to it too, James. I appreciate you coming up here. Can you look in and tell everybody to have a great night?
Have a great night, everybody.
Okay,
have a good
James.
night, James.
I love you, buddy. Okay? All right.
Wait, Daddy, can I have a hug?
You may have a hug. Yes, of course you can have a hug. This is a
Awesome.
family show, my man. Okay? Say goodnight, Coach Brad.
Good night, Coach Brad.
Good night, James. Huskies are in the red zone, or on the verge of the red zone, maybe in the red zone now to those of you watching live. Jonah, you asked. Yes, so my kids started Advent calendars today. We do the elf on a shelf around here, and this year my son Santa sent my son an elf. So the elves, well, the kids knew they were getting Advent calendars, so the elves didn't necessarily bring them, but their elves watched them open their Advent calendars today. So I think my daughter's has like, I don't know, her thing today had like some hair ties. I'm not. I think my son's gonna have like trucks and things or something, but like his thing for December 1st, because I didn't see it because they weren't awake when I left. So I texted my dad. I said, "Hey, like, did they enjoy their Advent calendars?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "But Carver." I said, "What'd they get?" He's like, "Well, Carver got polished rocks." was the thing that, and my wife had told me that she saw that like that was one of the things, like, or whatever. But everything else is pretty cool. So she's like, "What?" I mean, and he wasn't that thrilled at first, but then as soon as I got home, he couldn't wait to show me his 6 polished rocks. So,
Oh, yeah.
they're like precious stones to him at this point in time. But no, the kids really enjoy it for sure.
So we do not, well, we do Elf on a Shelf, but in a little bit of a different way. So I created a letter from Santa using the tools that I have, and we left it with the elf, who we have appropriately named Marshall for all of you Paw Patrol fans out there, and we have linked that there. So we were not going to do anything crazy. The elf actually is, we have this long Advent calendar thing that's on the stairwell, the banister.
Nice.
And it's got 24 days. So the elf just goes into each day as we go down. So he's always,
That's cool.
Always kind of,
very easy.
100%. We are those parents. We are not the parents that get elaborate with stuff like that. It's just I mean, James is happy. That's all that really matters.
All that matters.
Yes, but I have to apologize.
Ducks D'ing up, by the way. The Ducks are D'ing up. Looks like they forced a field goal attempt, which has probably already happened, but
not yet. So I'm sorry. The notes for the show are all wet.
kaput.
No, they're not kaput. I can still read them because we actually have a decent printer. But I was like, I can't believe I spilled water on here. And this is me breaking one of my rules about not having an open container. That's why I have this awesome Iceman and Coach Yeti that I have with a cap on it. That's right. Coach also has one too. So anyway, So James is up here. He's been doing well this year, and it's fun because everybody in the family roots for the teams that he picks, except this week they will not be rooting for the Eagles because they are Cowboys fans. So that will not be happening this week. They will be all on the 49ers train. But one thing that we forgot to do, man, but as we were started talking about this, is we forgot to kind of put up what the playoff rankings look like. Now, I put the top 8 because only these 8 teams have any shot, although I don't think Ohio State has a chance at all. So they're just kind of sitting there. But Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, all of that chalk can ride out, and the committee will just be like, check and move on. And I mean, there's a possibility that will happen. There's a lot of stakes. I think Michigan is going to win, though. I can't. I mean, Iowa's defense could keep them out of the end zone, but Iowa needs to put up 17 points to win the game, and I don't think they can do that.
Oh, yeah. What if they won like 7-3?
I will kill myself. Like I will. Now think about this, right? Think about having to watch it on television because you have a rooting interest in that team.
Oh, the advertisers be so pissed.
God.
Hey, does anyone in the feed know who kicked off to start this Pac-12 game? Who got the ball
first? It's really
first?
killing you, isn't it?
I want to know because that changes like what's like my thoughts on like what's going on right now. Because I mean, I think Oregon's got a score either way, but I just want to know how impactful a score right now would be. Because if they get the ball to start the second half and they can put some points on the board now, especially a touchdown, that puts them in a great position to come out and be right back in the ball game, right?
Yep.
And even 20-10, they're not out of it if they can come out and get a stop, but if they get the ball back and can basically have 2 consecutive possessions,
well, they just got a big chunk play. I won't tell you
that would be
what,
significant. But it's funny because we may see a very similar situation to what we saw going into the half when they played at Washington, and we'll see. I'm curious. I almost hope we see it because I want to see how Dan Lanning handles it this time because he didn't take the points. Right? He tried to punch it in and was unsuccessful. And I think that, I mean, you can't say it cost them the game yet, but I see the chunk play now. Ducks into Husky territory, deep into Husky territory.
Yes, but my issue with them, I never want to see a teams be conservative. In today's college football product or even NFL product, even though scoring is down in the NFL, you have to be aggressive, right? You have to go and try to get as many points as possible. And in a game like this, or before Washington, Oregon, you knew you were going to have to score. The only thing that I didn't like was there's not enough time for you to then get a field goal. So when they didn't get it at the end of the half, they were leaving points on the board. They could have had more, obviously, and that's process over result type of thing. But every other time that they went for it with points on the board, I was like, yeah, go for it. But at the end of the half where it's like, okay, we could sneak in with 3 points, and those 3 points could have mattered later. Had they scored a touchdown, it would have been even more impactful. So, like, I understand both sides of it. I just was like, oh, man, I really wish they had taken some points here as the half is expiring, so then they have something to go on. But it is what it is, right? And it's funny because this game is totally swung potentially by that decision, if you think about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they showed the replay, that big play, and that was a great job by that receiver, man. Like a great route adjustment. He realized that the defense had sort of over pursued the coverage. He hit the brakes, sat down in space. Bo Nix did a great job of finding him for the big play, and due to the fact that they sort of over pursued, and I'd have to see it again. I mean, I don't know, some sort of a flood concept or something like that. But obviously the backside, I mean, he had room to run, so that was fun to watch. And Nightmare for You, we can read that in a minute. Oh, that's not going to happen. No way. Not a chance. Nope. 0% chance. I have no problem. No way. There won't be 53 points scored in the game.
No.
I don't think.
Has Iowa scored 43 points in the last 5 games combined? That's close. It's closer than you think.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
Which is really, really sad. But let's talk about some of the other games. So this is here at the end of the half. Brad will update you as we go along, as he is a little bit behind me, so I don't want to ruin it for everybody else in the feed. So we got the Pac-12 championship that's happening right now. One of these dominoes will fall. With the other ones that are happening tomorrow, so we got the SEC championship. That's always the marquee matchup. Georgia going for their 3rd straight national title, which is insane in today's day and age. And they're playing Alabama. And
that is a bad call. That is a bad call. I'm sorry. That passing interference call is trash,
It was over.
in my
Yeah,
opinion.
But
And I don't think the receiver was not making enough of an effort to pursue the football. He just started kind of like throttling down. I think that's a terrible call.
now in college, it's not. It's impactful, but not as impactful as
Yeah,
it
I mean,
would
the
be
receiver
in the
stopped because
NFL.
he knew he didn't even have a chance to make a play on the ball. I think that's trash.
Yep, Bo Nix, and okay, all right. So SEC title game, always the marquee matchup, and this year it's funny because Kirby Smart seems to have figured out Nick Saban. Obviously, having won 2 national titles, he's got to figure him out again. And this Bama team, Jalen Milroe, kind of in the conversation for Heisman, depending on what happens with this game, right? Which is funny because of how bad the quarterback situation looked against South Florida earlier
Yeah.
this year, how terrible that game was, which I wrote off as the weather. And here comes Alabama sitting there, a chance to win the SEC again and be in the playoff again. And Kirby Smart's got to do it. Wow. So I
love your reactions. Yeah, so we got 2nd and goal from the 2. It looks like that's what I'm seeing. Stuffed again, 3rd and goal. Time running down. They got 1 timeout. I'm guessing they'll take it.
I can't help
obviously.
but react to what I just saw. That was incredible. So 5-point spread here. Georgia only giving 5 points in this game. I feel like one of two things is going to happen here. It's either going to be a close game, right? Alabama coming off that emotional win against Auburn.
Just saw it.
Yeah.
One-hander. Holy
Unbelievable
smokes.
catch.
Great play.
Unbelievable catch by the most red-headed tight end I've ever seen.
Only in the Pacific
catching that.
Northwest.
Yeah, that's correct. So how do you feel about this game, man?
The Alabama-Georgia game?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just in general think it's going to be a good ball game. And I think it has the potential to be, but like Georgia's playing really, really well. Alabama's lucky they got out of the Iron Bowl with the win.
They really are.
I mean,
4th
Auburn
and
had
31.
Auburn
My
had them
God.
dead to rights. Dead to rights. And I just can't imagine how crushing it had to be an Auburn fan in that stadium on Saturday night, man.
Because that was their Super Bowl.
Brutal. Yes. That was just soul crushing.
Is that worse than what you saw with Ohio State and Notre Dame earlier this year? Because you were at that game, so I'm asking. Because
yeah, because Notre Dame didn't. I mean, like Auburn had Alabama freaking dead to rights. I mean, as soon as Ohio State had the ball inside the 5-yard line, I knew they were scoring. I mean, it just wasn't even. I would have been shocked if Notre Dame managed to stop them. And so, I mean, that was a bummer for sure. But I mean, Notre Dame had their chances. They couldn't do the things they needed to do to win. And I guess you could say the same about Auburn, but Auburn had Alabama in much more dire straits than Notre Dame had Ohio State in that situation. And again, that game just means so much to those people. I mean, it is their, like you said, Super Bowl, man. Like they are invested. There's going to be people that are in a deep depression in Auburn, Alabama for the next 365 days or whatever.
I mean, isn't there famously a guy in jail because of that rivalry?
He died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Harvey Updike, the guy that poisoned that's the Alabama fan that he went and poisoned the Tumors Oaks.
Yes,
so they were like 100-plus-year-old oak trees that the famous thing to do at Auburn is they would go toilet paper the trees after winds and stuff like that. And he went and poisoned them and they died. I mean, these things were like protected national landmarks.
Yes.
He went to prison and he is no longer with us. He has passed away.
My apologies to his family on that one.
But the thing is, he freaking told on himself, man. He called in. I think it was Paul. It might have been the Paul. Yeah, it might have been the Paul Feinbaum show. Yeah, the whole Roll Damn Tide. Because I think he said they put a scam Newton jersey on Barry Bryant's statue, and so going to kill their trees was his retaliation.
So this is another one where I feel like we can all talk ourselves into Nick Saban could get it done. I mean, Milroe has been playing really well, so there is a potential for him to have a great ball game. But I think you're right in that Georgia they've been playing really well, right? They have been surging at the right time. I mean, they've had hit after hit after hit the last few weeks, playing Ole Miss, playing Missouri. And again, these are not Alabama. I get it, but you got to go and beat these teams. They're good football teams. But they've been leaving no doubt. That's where it is for me, right? Where Georgia has really been leaving no doubt. And I wonder if Alabama comes out of this game with Auburn and they're like, wow, okay, Like we just barely made it. That's emotional, right? It's an emotional,
Yeah.
it's an emotional drain to have to play a game that tough. And then you got to turn around and you get the two-time defending national champions on a neutral field in Atlanta, right? So it's
Right.
like not that neutral. It is and it isn't. That's a tough swing, right? It's a tough swing. If Alabama had taken care of business and won like 41-10, like we all thought that they probably should have, sure, right? Moving on to Georgia. But sometimes those games either can be a wake-up call or it took a lot of energy out of you.
I agree, and you said it, man. I mean, Georgia's been taking on all comers, right? And being the top dog, they're getting everybody's best shot. Nobody's sleepwalking into their game with Georgia,
Oh,
and you could say the same about Alabama too. But I
Alabama's in that Notre Dame section, like you talk about. Like nobody's like taken by surprise
right, yes,
or
and
takes them lightly or whatever.
absolutely, and Georgia's the same right now. I mean, they're
Sure.
treated the same way, and so I just think Kirby Smart. I think he's great at motivating his team, and they're highly talented. I mean, that's the first thing, the most important thing. They are exceptionally talented, but he seems like he's a master motivator, and so I think that they use everything they can as a chip on their shoulder. And probably once they lost the tight end, whose name escapes me at the moment, Bo Bauer, right?
Bowers.
Once
Brock
they
Bowers.
Brock Bowers, Bo
Bo
Bowers,
Bowers. You mixed up
Bo
Bo Nix and, I mean,
Brock
they're,
Bowers, whatever,
jockey white
uh,
guys.
giant white tight end. Um, once they lost him, people kind of started to maybe write him off a little bit because it did appear that he was kind of their offense at that point in time. So they've shown us that's for sure.
Yeah, they did. I think they got tired of hearing about the fact that something was wrong with them, that they weren't playing that well. And I heard it the other day. It was like, Georgia's going to spot you that 7 points, right? Like if you put money on their opponent, you're like 7-0, I'm feeling good. And then by the end of the half, you're like, well, my money's gone because
Right.
it's 31-7 at halftime or 24-7 at halftime or whatever. And
It's
I
like
just
they
feel
almost
like,
need that, right? It's like smelling salts, man. The moment that a touchdown scored, it's like then they wake up and they're like,
well,
all
think
right,
about
let's
it.
go.
It's hard, right, to motivate your team. I mean, it's easier, in my opinion, to rest on your laurels and than it is to continue to grind, right? Some of these guys maybe have been on all of these teams now, and it's like year after year after year, your season extends, and you're constantly with a target on your back. Every team is giving you their best shot, and as a coach, it's hard to continue to motivate week in and week out. You would think that in the span of this winning streak, one team would have overlooked or something like that, and they didn't. And so I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Georgia in this one,
Yeah.
really. And I'm rooting for Milroe, though. I think he's a great kid. I think he's a great story. It's nice to see him having surged in the second half of the season, playing some of his best football, because a lot of people thought, man, this quarterback stinks. And he's not, right? I think, what did Dave say? Be like the second best in the Big Ten or something like that or whatever. And it's like, he's very talented. I just think, though, that Georgia, no longer am I going to doubt the Georgia Bulldogs until they give me a reason to doubt them. If the zeros hit on that scoreboard on Saturday and they've lost the game, fine. I'll take that. But until then, I've got to believe that they have the tools and the talent to get it done against Bama, period.
Would this be maybe considered Nick Saban's best job coaching?
It could be. That's hard, right? You'd have to go back and look at all of the teams, but he hasn't had a team in a while that has been this doubted, I don't think. If you think about it, national, right? Doubted, overlooked. How many times has Alabama been talked about in the national spotlight positively, right? Positively. So I just feel like
He didn't have a clear-cut starting quarterback
no,
till what, like week 3 or 4 or something like that at the earliest.
I agree. Yeah.
The guy freaking turns over his coordinators every year, every other year, just because they get bigger, better jobs, and just the fact that he's able to maintain that level of excellence is really impressive.
So Jonah brings up an interesting point here, because I make the point that good teams lose all the time and great teams lose too, right? 18-0 Patriots lost to the Giants. It happens, right? So it's you can still lose and not overlook your opponent, but what I meant was, in the span of this long winning streak with so many grueling games, it's impressive that Kirby Smart has kept them motivated.
That's the
Kept them
difference
hungry.
between the elite teams and everyone else.
I agree.
Is
Yes.
they're able to maintain that focus, which is impressive.
Speaking of one of those teams, Oklahoma State, man, we said Oklahoma State was kind of one of those dark horses in the Big 12, and they instantly lost 2 games in a row and looked like absolute dog shit doing it.
But here they are.
Here they are in the Big 12 title game, looking like John Daly, looking at Tiger Woods. So Texas has everything to lose. Oklahoma State has nothing to lose except maybe playing in the Gator Bowl or whatever applicably marketed named game that they're going to play in sometime between now and the end of 2023. Texas has a 15-point, or spotting him 15 points. By all accounts, Texas should win this ball game. They should win it easily. But Texas is the antithesis of Georgia for games like this for the last 15 years or so, since 2000 or 12 years. And they're a team where I'm like, I don't trust that they're going to win this game until they start winning them. Now, they beat Alabama early in the season. Would they have beaten them if they played them later in the season that game would be more interesting, right? Because Texas did struggle against some teams, had to make comebacks late in the fourth quarter to make the game look less competitive. And so I think, though, that Oklahoma State's a team that has nothing to lose, so that's always dangerous. But if Sark really wants to be amongst the greats and wants to make Texas back, got to win this football game and give yourself a chance to make the playoff. And I just think Texas, their fans want it. So Sark is going to get it done.
Man, I don't know. I just got a feeling about the Pokes, man. Like, I think that, like you said, they just feel dangerous. They got nothing to lose. It's much different. Iowa doesn't have the firepower to compete with Michigan. Oklahoma State plays a different style of football.
They do.
I think they have a shot, and Texas has been far from perfect. They snuck by some not so good teams. So I'm smelling an upset. The committee will be freaking pumped. I guarantee you, no one else outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma, wants Oklahoma State to win more than the College Football Playoff Committee, because that will take one of the crazy scenarios off the table. That'll make one of their decisions for them. I'm sensing an upset. I have no tangible reason to pick Oklahoma State other than just a gut feeling, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. And no logic or reason applied, just pure instinct.
I just want to believe that Texas can do this, right? Like, this is me willing them. I have doubted them forever, and I doubt them still, but I'm willing them to this, right? Like, let's just get this done. Give yourself a chance. Even if you don't make it, give yourself a chance. Don't be TCU last year. They don't have the luxury of losing this football game the way that TCU got into the playoff, ended up making it the national title game. You're right, though. This could be a shootout, very possibly a shootout. And that 15-point spread, we'll see. But I just feel like, it is a lot. But Quinn Ewers he's had a good season, wants to go at a high note. Texas being in the playoff would be nice for college football. If you think about the blue bloods of college football or whatever, right, seeing Texas there would be good. And if Texas wins selfishly, we can remember my friend promised she would come on the show if the Longhorns make the playoff, and she didn't think that would happen. So here we are. That chance is coming up. ACC title game, Florida State, LSU. Florida State, 2.5-point favorite. They've lost Jordan Travis. Terrible, terrible, terrible injury. And now it looks like their backup, who I believe his last name is Roadmaker, Rode, just like the old microphone company. And it looks like he's going to be out too. Boy. On the screen right now, next man up is Brock Glenn, a guy with 2 first names, a terrible haircut. And he's going to come in against the Louisville team that got, quite frankly, embarrassed by their in-state brethren in Kentucky. And they were going to be a long shot to make the playoff anyway, but didn't give themselves a chance. Can Florida State do this?
Can they? I think they can. I mean, they're talented, but I think it's an uphill battle. For sure. Yeah, I'm seeing the image of Brock Glenn on the screen right now.
Terrible haircut.
45 seconds later. Yeah, I got the Bieber thing going on a little bit.
Yeah, it's not good.
So what is this? He's a redshirt freshman. My goodness. He was a 3-star recruit. I missed the rest, but probably
That's
nothing
all-
too interesting.
No.
That's all you need to know. I think Louisville's got a real shot here. And Jeff Brown's an experienced veteran coach. It's been around for a long time. And they're a good football team. They've definitely had their lapses, but I feel good. Oh, yes, there he is. There's our buddy.
right,
I
he's
wasn't
back.
on last week. I was watching. I wasn't on it, but I saw you pop in. I think that that was a terrible passing interference call. I don't know if you were on here when we were talking about it. I said that the receiver appeared to make no attempt. I mean, as soon as the ball was thrown, he's like, "I'm not getting there," and he throttled down anyways. I would have thought if he wanted to initiate the passing interference call, he would have made more of an effort. I think then it might have been more justified if he was attempting to make a play on the ball, but he'd given up on the play at that point. I think that was terrible.
Yes, I agree. But it's good to see you back, my man. I'm in a much better mood today. I'm sick, but I'm getting over a cold. You also missed me spill water on this expensive equipment that I've got here, not the flex, but lots of errors happening here. You also missed my son make some game picks. So when this is over, you can go back and check out those picks and do not 100. Well, he's 9-3, but do not put any money on this. This is not what we do here. But let's talk. So ACC, right? So FSU
Cardinals
winning. Yeah. FSU winning makes the committee happy. And there is historical precedent for this.
I don't think it makes them happy.
Oh, if Florida State wins?
If no,
they can easily
just
slide them in, can't they?
No, because they're not one of the 4 best teams in the country. That's what I'm saying.
I know, but it's
then
easy
it comes
for
down
them to do that, though.
But I'm saying then it comes down to you're putting a team in because you feel like they deserve it more than you think they're one of the 4 best teams in the country. They're not right now. They are not one of the 4 best teams in the country.
I'm not arguing that with you. I'm talking about if you're the committee, you're like, like they're not going to get a lot of flack for putting an undefeated team in there.
They shouldn't, but they will. If they put, like, let's say they put in undefeated Florida State and leave out 1-loss conference champ Texas by chance, or something like that. If that happens, which is very possible.
Yeah.
Let's say Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. Let's say if Oregon wins this game or whatever. Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington wins, and then you have Texas. Let's say Texas wins. You're going to put Florida State in over Texas. I think that's preposterous. If that's what happens, I would put I would put Washington. If Washington doesn't pull this game off, I would put 1-loss Washington in the playoff before undefeated ACC champ Florida State.
The committee is looking to just, as Mike Tomlin would say after a win, just get out of the building, right? They want to do. They're going to tell you that they want to put the 4 best teams or whatever it is, right? But man, if they can get chalked this weekend, they'll take it, and I mean that in the sense that they'll just write it off and move on, right? Fine. Whatever.
I think they want Louisville to win, man, big time, because I think they don't want to have to put Florida State in.
Maybe, but there is precedent for this. Like I was saying, 2014 Ohio State, Cordell Jones took them to the national championship. Keep that in mind. So that was a little bit of a weaker field, but that
would be a very college football thing to happen. Third string quarterback comes in and takes Florida State to the national championship.
Now this question is a question. Well. So this question that's on the screen right now is the entire reason why we are moving to a 12-team playoff. How hard is it to pick the 4 best teams in college football? It's pretty damn hard some years. And in this particular season, I think it is very hard because it comes down to subjectively, what do you consider best? Pac-12 was one of the best conferences this year. Winner of the Pac-12 probably deserves to be there, 1 loss or not, right?
Yeah.
I think we both agree on that. But that's, Jonah, the point that we're arguing here is it ain't easy to pick the 4 best teams in the country. And I don't know if you mean that sarcastically, like how hard is it? If you just mean like actually how hard it is, it's pretty damn hard.
Yeah, I think another thing that makes it difficult, especially compared to like the NFL, for example, is the level of competition that every team plays is varies so much because there's some really bad teams out there. And, let's say that if Iowa was undefeated, right, and then they won the Big Ten championship game, their schedule is not been very strong, right? They didn't play the same schedule that Ohio State, that played, or Michigan. I mean, Michigan's schedule wasn't crazy. I shouldn't even use them, but they didn't play the same schedule that some other teams in the country have played. So I just don't think it's like the NFL. There's more common opponents, and a lot of these teams play each other, and there's at least some common opponents where I feel like it's a little easier to maybe determine who the best teams are, at least the top 2 or 3. But when it gets to college football, it is tough because these conferences are, from top to bottom, the disparity of talent is huge. And so I think it's tough
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's not easy. Like the talent disparity from the best team in the NFL to the worst is not that much.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
fractional.
seems like it, right? But professionals are professionals. And by the way, they just did the Dr. Pepper thing on here. It amuses the shit out of me every single year when there's 2 dudes and one of the dudes tries to throw like a quarterback and the other one is just shoveling passes. And I'm like, dude, just get it in the hole. Like that's all you have to do. Why are you trying to look good doing it? Just be like, boom, 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 boom. Let's get it in there. It tickles me every year.
Well,
I love it.
the one guy that's attempting to throw it like a quarterback looks like Uncle Rico
Yeah, it's not great.
off Napoleon Dynamite.
Yep.
No, it's terrible.
It's not
He's
good.
like
So
shot putting it. Yeah, I mean, you just, like you said, almost chest pass those suckers. Don't even bother trying to. You don't need style points there, man. You're just trying to win.
$100,000. When our kids go to college, that'll be like a semester. So we need to
Yeah,
get
no
that
shit.
money rolling in at any point. Question here: if Michigan loses to Ohio State, have a chance of making the playoffs? Nope. Moving on.
They would need a lot of other crazy stuff to happen. They
I
would
just
need Texas to
a
lose,
lot
Florida
of
State to
help.
lose. I don't. Those are about the only 2 things that could happen. Because I think no matter
Man,
who wins, I mean, if Alabama wins, that would help them. I think maybe. Well, no, because then
no.
they'd probably put Georgia in.
Oh hell yeah,
Uh,
Georgia.
they
Oh
would
yeah.
put Georgia in over
Please.
them. So you'd want Georgia to win because they're not going to put in 2 loss Alabama. I mean, yeah, you'd
Nope.
have to have a lot of
Nope.
wild stuff happen.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
I
There's
do
no
think
way.
a path exists, but it's highly unlikely.
It's like conspiracy theory path exists is what we're talking about here. The only other 2 games that are happening, one of them is happening right now, Liberty playing New Mexico State. The only reason that that's interesting is because Liberty could find themselves in a New Year's Six Bowl with an undefeated season, so that's always cool. Tulane and SMU. SMU is going to be moving to the ACC next year. Rest in peace, Virginia Tech. And Tulane could have another that'll be 11-1, I think. So another fantastic season for the Green Wave, whose name I could not remember last year during crunch time once, but those are always fun. I always like to see those teams that are playing well, and these are the kind of teams that we may see jockeying for position when this realignment stuff continues to roll down the road, because it's going to roll down the road at some point. So it's always fun to watch that kind of stuff. So right now we're going to continue to update, or Brad is going to continue to update you for the times that I can't react. That touchdown at the end of the half, I could not help it.
I don't blame you.
Could not help react. But this is going to be a fun weekend. And I did say this to you over the weekend, or over the week. I said that college football is in some ways superior to the NFL because narratives like this exist, right? In the NFL, it's all math. These paths exist for teams to make the playoffs mathematically based off of who they play. But what you and I are talking about, a lot of these arguments are subjective. These are like, do you think Texas deserves to get in? That's not a like mathematical equation. It's totally qualitative. And I like that sometimes because it provides these moments here for us.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun to sit here and speculate. I think it's a blast. And I mean, we had some speculation last year, right? I mean, because when
Yeah.
TCU lost, it made things a little interesting. And but the committee still stood by him and put him in.
Yes. So talking about the NFL for a little bit, if you don't mind. So you are familiar with this man, Frank Reich, now former head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are abysmal, 1-10, just absolutely terrible. And he gets fired before the end of his first season. Now, David Tepper has fired like 700 coaches in his time with the Florida Panthers Carolina, Florida, who cares? And I want to ask you though, like when he got hired, I mean, he's been your coach, right? And I was like, to me, that's not the guy that I want rebuilding a team, right? You're drafting a new quarterback. They drafted Bryce Young, who sounds like all accounts where they wanted CJ Stroud. They probably should have picked CJ Stroud. And they're 1-10. Their Vegas win total, I think, was 7.5. So I'm not sure where that came from, but nowhere close to that. But firing a guy in the first year is just, it's kind of wild to me.
I guess if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Just rip the
sure.
Band-Aid off and move on. By all accounts, he's a decent guy, but that doesn't matter in that business. I think it does suck for him, right? Fired mid-season 2 years in a row. This being the first season really stinks, and maybe he's just one of those guys that's destined to be a coordinator.
I think
There's
he
just
is.
some people that are like that, man, and, so, where do they go from here? Who knows? But I it's not hard though. We've seen it. It's not hard if you've got some good draft picks and you've got a decent front office. It's not hard to get yourself back into contention in the NFL. It can happen pretty quick.
No, it can happen pretty quick, but I just think it's funny because, he was the Colts coach, and during that time frame, the Colts never inspired you as this team that was like going to blow the doors off of
No,
you. And that's why I'm like, when they hired him, they could have hired, I mean, I get it, right? He's established as a head coach, but it's always weird to me. I don't know how you feel about this. I guess it depends on the firing, but it's always weird when a team hires a guy directly off of being fired, because it depends again on how the firing happens. But remember, the Jets hired Adam Gase after being fired from the Dolphins, and it's like, what about his stint with the Dolphins told you that it was going to work out as a Jet, and it was abysmally worse.
hey, one man's trash is another man's treasure, sir.
Yeah, I guess so. As we might be talking about Robert Saleh in that way. Although so Cleve wants Robert Saleh fired. He wants them all fired off into the sun, right? And I had to sit through Tim fucking Boyle on Black Friday. Excuse my language, but I had to sit through that on Black Friday. I had to sit through the Jets give up a 99-yard Hail Mary return for a touchdown at the end of the first half. And I'm like, this is insane, right? But also, what is Robert Saleh supposed to do? Really, what is he supposed to do? His quarterback choices are Tim Boyle. I believe they have Trevor Siemian or Zach Wilson. Now, not a one of those guys is going to say the season was over the second Aaron Rodgers went down. And then this asshole is practicing right now. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I don't know what he's supposed to do. I mean, they put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and that went south for them. What, 4 plays into the
Four
season or whatever it was?
snaps. Four
Yeah,
snaps.
yeah, end of the season, and so, but is there like a chance that he's gonna be back soon? It sounds like they put him on like the path to return from the IR or something. I don't know exactly what they did, but he
All
had
right,
some. Didn't he have
listen.
some like
Let me ask you
experimental surgery?
philosophically. Yeah, oh, I'm sure he's taking mushrooms and all that good stuff. But philosophically, the team is 4-7. Okay, so I don't want to cast aspersions on, and the half is back on, by the way, but I don't want to cast aspersions on Aaron Rodgers. But this team is 4-7. If he's watching this football team, right, he's watching the offensive line. The offensive line sucks for the Jets. It's just it sucks. And you're coming off of an Achilles injury at age 40. Why on earth would you step behind that line at any point this season until they have done something in the offseason to make it better? Right? If he injures himself again in this kind of way, his career is over. Like, he's not going to rehab again. What's the point? Except selfishness to be like, look at me, I did it. That's
Yeah,
just the way I view it.
the guy's never been short on confidence.
No, that's a
Um,
good way to put it.
you know what I mean? And I do think there are people out there that, they think that they really can make that big of, and don't get me wrong, he would make a huge difference, even with the other pieces that are lacking. But I get what you're saying though. At his age, why would you subject yourself to that? I don't know,
But
but
do you really think he would make a difference? Like, watching the Jets this season, right? We thought they were going to be a contender, but watching their offensive line this season, do you really think it would have mattered? Like, he might have still gotten hurt anyway. That team, I
right.
don't know. Because, like, what was it going to be? Is it going to be Rodgers scrambling around because the offensive line can't block anybody?
Well, some of it is teams are just teeing off on them because they know they can't do anything about it.
Maybe.
Which does change things. And when you're not forced to have to play coverage because the quarterback's so terrible, and you can bring, 6, 7 guys at a time if you want, that definitely changes things. And that's going to make an offensive line look really bad. And so that may be playing a part in it as well.
It could be, but I just feel like Mike asked me, he's like, do you think it matters? Like, do you think it would have mattered? And I'm like, when we're evaluating teams in the preseason, it's all on paper, right? It's all hope. And then you start seeing these, and I get it. things do change when you know that you have nothing back there. But don't forget, the only team to beat the Eagles this year was the New York Jets. So they did something
Yeah.
right.
No, you got that right. But
I
that
mean,
we talked about that though. I mean, that's how close the margins are.
yeah, you're right.
Man, that's a bad 3 and out for Oregon. Assuming they're punting, maybe they're not. Maybe he went for it. I don't know.
You'll
But
find out in a second.
I mean, I guess they're near. Maybe they didn't go 3 and out. Possibly, maybe they did get a first down. Well, no, 3 and out on this series, anyways. I really thought they needed some points here to start
Dan
the half.
Lanning is an aggressive football coach. I'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
it looks like they're
So
going for it, which you've obviously seen the result by now. So I
I
am
have
waiting
seen the
with
result. This is
bated
great.
breath,
I feel this is cool. I feel like I have something
living in
going
the future. Well,
I
most
am
of
living
you
in the
probably
future.
are.
I know I am. I don't know about that because usually when I stream, I'm behind everybody. So this is nice to be ahead every once in a while. So man, the
First down.
Yep, the Josh Dobbs story was great while it lasted, and now he's back to the mean and stinks. So wasn't that fun?
He doesn't stink.
I know
mean,
that,
they
but you know what I
lost
mean,
a
like-
close game to Denver on the road.
They lost to a team. They lost to the Bears, who didn't score a touchdown, and at one point,
I'm thinking 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
Thank you.
He's terrible. Get rid of him. I
Well,
forgot about that, man.
okay,
I
so-
totally forgot about that.
I think I said this right a couple weeks ago, but there somebody has replaced him. By the way, Tommy DeVito, the Italian dude in New York who beat the Patriots, scoring 10 points because the Patriots have now lost, I think, 2 games in a row, giving up 10 points, and they've scored 6 or 7 in each of them. Just absolutely terrible. Even though the best player in the league, Bailey Zappi, according to one of our favorite commenters, was under center for the second half of that game. But Josh Dobbs, I was like, it's a great story. It's cool that he's going places and making things happen, but I felt like a wet blanket because I was thinking it's going to drop. Like, if he was that great, he would have ascended already.
Yeah.
And Geno Smith is the outlier. So when they look the way that they looked the last couple weeks, it's like, this is probably what his mean was. Maybe not quite this bad, but this is what it is, right? And like, Tommy DeVito's won 2 games in a row. Nobody's going to sit here and tell me that the guy that does this after scoring a touchdown is in some way going to make himself a quarterback. Like, he's going to regress, right? Like, he's not beating any other team besides New England scoring 10 points. It's just not happening.
Right. I agree. No, I mean, and we've seen this where backups come in, they go on a little run, and then the flame burns out, and that's back to reality. Big play by the Ducks, getting looks like they're in the red zone or real close.
Is our boy still in the feed? I want to know. We need a wellness check from you right now as this game progresses. I know as a fan you don't want to have to do that, but you did pop in here to say hello. So if you're still with us in more ways than one, please let us know in the comments so that we know you're doing all right as the Ducks drive down the field right now. And this is not what Washington fans want to see at all, man.
No,
because
the Ducks look like they're on a mission here.
they are running downhill right now. But hey, look, this is what Dave said the other day. Dave of Political Football. So if you're watching us for the first time, we are friends with another podcast. They're called Political Football. They do NFL talk only most of the time. But he said that football should look like the Eagles-Bills game did last week, right? Where the Eagles don't look very good, but the good team comes back and shows you why they are a good team. Like the NFL football should look like that, or competitive football should look like that, because you want to see the good teams look good, right? And so I was like, that's kind of what this game is like. Both of these teams are extremely talented. Some people are saying this is the best Oregon team ever.
Ever? That's a reach. There have been some very good Oregon teams.
Is it? I mean, let me ask you, who's a better quarterback, Marcus Mariota or Bo Nix?
Are you just taking Joey Harrington completely out of the
No,
equation?
but I'm saying, like, if you're talking about, like, don't forget
Marcus
that
Mariota won the Heisman. I mean, he was
did.
really good when he was at Oregon.
I
It
agree.
didn't work out it hasn't really worked out for him in the NFL, but he was great at Oregon.
No, I agree. I'm saying, like, so like these are, when people say that, like, I think Budge might have even said it, that this might be one of the best Oregon teams ever. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of praise from a guy who does study a lot of football. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean, if
gonna-
there's anybody, I mean, it carries a lot of weight coming from him, I would say, because that dude is
Ooh.
like an encyclopedia of college football, and
Yeah,
he's at
he
this
is.
game actually.
Is he actually at this game?
He's
I figured
there.
he would be.
He is.
Good.
He is at this game.
Good. We our guy Budge. We're gonna try to get him on at some point to close it. Maybe we'll have him for after the national championship game. He can talk about the season as a whole, and we'll do something like that with him. We definitely want to get him back on. But so last night, man, I was watching Thursday Night Football. I will admit, watched it because Cowboys played the Seahawks. By the way, the Seahawks look fantastic in those throwbacks. Like, can we just make that a
Yeah,
thing now?
they're beautiful.
Oh, they're beautiful. The Cowboys.
A shootout.
Yes, it was a shootout, and I thought it was interesting because Seattle looked terrible against the 49ers on Thanksgiving while Mike and I were making friends with our new friend from the Pacific Northwest. And they looked terrible, right? And he was talking about how Pete's got to get fired, Geno stinks, all that good stuff. And they looked good offensively against the Cowboys, who have been really good defensively this year, but they are really good at home, and they scored more points to win, 41-36 or 41-35 or whatever. And the Cowboys this year, this is probably the first quote-unquote good team that they've looked good against, if you consider the Seahawks good at 500. But, like, are the Cowboys really for real? We ask this every year, but, like, this feels like a team that should be really talented and built to win in January, but they're kind of like Texas for me. Like, it's hard to trust them.
Yeah, it's hard to trust them based off of recent history for sure. But I think that I think they're good, man. I think that they're in the best position they've been in a while to really make a run at things. It's just unfortunate for them that the NFC,
Oh, man, big play.
the NFC is stacked between, with especially just the 49ers and Eagles, period. The Cowboys
Yes.
are very good, and they're not even the best team in their division. That's what's crazy. But it's just because, the Eagles are excellent. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think the playoffs in the NFC are going to be really exciting. The last couple of years, the AFC with the Bills and the Chiefs and the Bengals, and has where the excitement's been. I think it's sort of the power shifted maybe back to the NFC as far as like the number of really great football teams. Touchdown Ducks.
Touchdown
They needed
Ducks.
that. They needed that for sure.
Big fourth down, too. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, the cojones on Dan Lanning are gigantic. The man is leaving nothing on the table.
I love
tonight,
that
which he
too.
can't.
Like, trust your team, man. Like, I like it, but I think you should trust your team until they prove that you can't do it, which is my whole argument against Brandon Staley. Is it's like at some point, like if you're not converting fourth downs, it gets tough to kind of trust the team.
Can we talk about some coaches that I think are on the hot seat?
Please, I would love to. I'd love to fire some people tonight. Let's do it.
So Brandon Staley, hot seat.
He has to be, right?
Arthur Smith, hot seat. Matt Eberflus in Chicago is on the hot seat.
Doesn't even sound like
he's
a
as
coach.
good as fired, basically.
He stinks.
I think it's fair to say that Bill Belichick is on the hot seat.
That one's interesting. That one continues to get more and more interesting as we go along, because now it seems like it's less he's going to get fired and more he's going to go somewhere else. I've seen him linked to like 4 teams now.
And when's the last time a coach was traded? Do you know?
I mean, wasn't Sean Payton maybe, but wasn't Bill Belichick traded? Didn't the Jets have to trade him? Because
man, I don't know.
It has happened. It's not usually talked about.
Isn't he the GM? Can he trade himself? Is that what he's going to do?
I don't know.
That would be such a power move.
I don't know. Yeah. But Belichick, though, why is he on the hot seat? I mean, I guess it depends on how you feel about what is going on in New England. And talking with Cleve the other day about this, and I'm like, I think that Mac Jones isn't the guy, right? Like, I think that whether the talent was better and whether the coaching was what it was, right? This year he's got solid coaching theoretically. Last year he did not, but this year I think he does. And sometimes Mac Jones is like, what is he doing? What is he thinking? Why is he doing that? That's not all on Bill Belichick. That's not all on Bill O'Brien. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And I think these guys get to a point where they're broken.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think Mac Jones is broken.
I completely agree.
I don't think that he will ever be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL.
No, I don't. And the thing is, he had a good start, but there's been no growth. And I don't know what Bill's supposed to do with that. And I told you, you can critique Bill the GM, but Bill the coach, like, this team stinks, and that's on the GM part of it. But they're doing things that are just baffling in some respects. And also the offensive play calling has not been that great. when Bailey Zappi had like 1.2 air yards a pass in the second half against the Giants, like I could do that.
Yeah, have you? I've heard a thing put out there that said if you got, oh goodness, what did they say? Like 5 tries to gain 10 yards behind you, pick whatever offensive line you want, but you know 5 tries to gain 10 yards, or maybe 5 tries to gain 5 yards for $1 million. Do you think that you could do it?
10 yards. This is a trap question because what would happen is the first carry, hole would open up. I'll tell you, this is just imagine this right now. Imagine me looking exactly like this, as fat as I am with a bad hip, and hitting the hole, thinking I got a good chunk of that yardage to only be hit immediately and then probably have to roll off the field. I wouldn't get the other 4 carries because that first hit would
Right.
be so jarring and I would lose the bet right away.
I think that the only way it's possible is that you'd have to quarterback sneak
No, but see,
every time.
that's the thing. Everybody always says that, but you take that out. You have to do it traditionally. You have to do it like a running back. You have to hit the hole and get that yardage. That
Dude,
first
that
hit,
hole-
I'm done. I'm
That
done.
hole would be closed before I got there, man.
I
Because those
wouldn't
things
even have
aren't
the
open
ball
for long,
yet.
man. Like
no, I
that's
wouldn't even
that
have the
people.
ball.
That's what's so impressive is that people understand. Like football happens so fast, especially at the NFL level. And like when the running back gets the ball, there is no hole, but he knows he has an aiming point,
Yes, he does.
and he's reading what's going to happen. And then a crease opens up, and he has to put his foot in the ground and get downhill in a hurry, and it closes just as fast as it opens sometimes. And so, yeah, my ass ain't even making it there. No, I'm gonna be. I might get the ball, and at that point, like you said, they're gonna be rolling the ambulance on the field, carting my ass off.
Man, there's only one thing I do in a hurry, and it is getting off the couch to go get that DoorDash order that I just ordered that I don't need. So there's no way that I could hit that hole. There's absolutely just no way. But we were talking about coaches, and so Matt Eberflus doesn't sound like a coach.
No,
Doesn't look like a coach. Doesn't coach like a coach. Justin Fields, does Justin Fields, is he not good, or that's got to be scheme, right? Like, because they're not having him pass the ball. At one point, I talked about Bailey Zappi air yards, 0.8 for Justin Fields.
yeah,
Why?
I think that they've kind of coached the Justin Fields out of Justin Fields a little bit in Chicago. I'm
God.
afraid. But I think you've got to get a different coach in there. Give him a year, see what he does, and
Harbaugh?
at that point, yeah, and if at that point things aren't moving in the right direction, then it's you got to move on. But it'll be interesting to see what they do though. With they're gonna have 2 very high draft picks next year, and
Yes.
a new head coach, maybe Jim Harbaugh, and so. Man, the league's going to be interesting next year because there's going to be a lot of coaching changes and like big time coaches. Harbaugh possibly back into the league, and then Belichick trades himself somewhere.
Raiders, Mark Davis says he wants to bring back John Gruden.
Hey man, if
Whatever.
there is Ray Rice available too,
We got that racism out of the way. We're done here. They squashed that. Goodell said, no, don't look here. So he got his.
If there's any team that could get away with it, it's the Raiders. But
Listen, Arthur Smith. You want to talk about a name that triggers me?
Arthur
That
Smith
triggers me. And it has nothing to do with fantasy football, despite the fact that I'm still sitting and hoping for Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson to do something, which Bijan did something last week. He was on my bench, of course. So Arthur Smith, though, God, like, I want to know when he sat in that office with Arthur Blank, right? 2 Arthurs. I can't believe this. The only 2 Arthurs on the face of the planet because they don't really make Arthurs a whole lot anymore. And it's like, what did Arthur Smith say that convinced Art Blank that he could do this job, right? Because you watch him this year, they spend, the 8th pick on Bijan Robinson when quarterback is 100% a need. I'm not saying that they had their answer in this draft, but when you talk about draft strategy, drafting a running back in the first round, never a good idea. That high, catastrophic idea. But if you're going to do it, friggin' use them. And it's
Right.
like, what the hell? Like, what don't we know? We talked about this earlier, right? But now that it's continued, I'm like, what don't we know about this? And he's not willing to say it. I think he's just a moron.
he's either a moron or Bijan Robinson is a a terrible human being or something.
That would have
I
come
don't
out
know.
by now. That report would have come
You'd
out
think
by
so.
now.
Probably so. So I see there's a penalty. Where I'm at, Huskies were getting ready to attempt a third down.
In the
Flag on the
past.
play, false start. So now we're talking about third and long.
Ooh,
So
big
that's
play.
where I'm at right now.
You
Third
got a
and
big
long,
update you're
play.
about to make. Ooh, not good.
Ooh, cringy.
Yeah,
So
very cringy. So anyway, Arthur Blank should be fired. And just this is why I get so frustrated when there are good candidates. Now I understand like Eric Bieniemy, and you could talk about the race stuff with coaching, whatever. But Eric Bieniemy to me should have been at least considered for a head coaching job. Now I know that
I
like
think he'll
Ron
get one
Rivera.
next year. Ron
I think-
Rivera's on the hot seat. He's gonna get fired too.
He's good Lord. I don't even think Ron Rivera knows where his friggin' seat is. Like that's how clueless that guy is. But Arthur Smith was gifted this team and they have no quarterback. So
I
they
looked
have
away.
all
Interception,
these
I'm guessing INT. Yes, interception ducks.
Yes,
Interception ducks. I didn't see if they got any sort of return out of the deal or where they're gonna take over on downs at.
they did not. So Oregon is taking over at their own 40-yard line. So good field position for the Ducks as they continue
Big play.
to
I'm
drive.
I'm guessing a shot right here. Anytime you have a change of momentum, it's like on the first page of the offensive coordinator handbook. Take a shot.
Here's the thing: the whole body language has changed in this game, where Bo Nix is looking at these guys like laser, right? Laser
What is that thing they
focused.
hold up? It's like it's a golden
shoe
thing
on
with
the
a
end of
shoe?
something. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. That you can thank the University of Miami for that horse shit because it's
Turnover chain.
well, Ryan. Now we have the turnover tire. We have all these different things. So like, maybe
No
this
big
makes me
play.
sound
Run up the
old. But
middle.
it's like, come on, yeah. Audric. Oh, another big play. Audric Estime out there for old Notre Dame on first down after. That's how you want to start, right? You're like, okay, big momentum shift, run up the middle. Like, what the hell? That's not.
Maybe it's again. Maybe it's like the whole like, hey, they probably think we're going to take a shot here. Maybe that's
exactly
the logic.
right. Let's zig where others are zagging. Let's
That's
do that.
right.
So
Brian
NFL,
Daboll, another one hot seat.
You think so?
I think so. I saw something the other day that says like that the coaching staff there freaking hates his guts.
Ooh.
Interception, Huskies.
Ooh, but I'm still ahead
review.
of you.
Review. I'm guessing
Ooh.
we're getting a review.
Oh, we are
I
getting.
think
Well,
I
yes, all
heard my
turnovers
father
get reviewed.
yelling from the other room. So I don't know.
This is why I'm glad we're doing this during games because I think this is a lot more fun. There's no structure to this whatsoever, but we've had more people watching this throughout than any of our other feeds combined, basically. So I think we're doing good work here with these watch parties, but
No, it's fun.
it is fun. So Chiefs, I think
Out of bounds, illegal touching. That's what
correct.
that is.
Yeah, didn't you like illegal touching? It's always one of those penalties that I feel a little bit cringy hearing, but also giggle every time I hear it because it's just
It's a
ridiculous.
weird rule, man.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a strange rule.
That you can't go out of bounds and then be the first person to touch the ball.
Yeah, and I understand what exists because like if you're a receiver, you could just like bail and run behind everybody and come back out onto the field like 30 yards out.
Yes, that's exactly right. You're just like go get a sip of water, then come back, sucker, and then you catch the ball. But Chiefs, so the Chiefs, they beat the Raiders. Whatever, Raiders not very good. But the Chiefs now are staring at this weird thing where like we know that they're good, but they're also not reliable because Mahomes can't find a guy who can catch the ball besides Travis Kelce. And it seems like Chiefs were struggling. Chiefs fans are kind of starting to point their ire at Travis Kelce and his relationship stuff. And it's like, I don't know. Is that what fans do? But it's like, are the Chiefs really a team you should be doubting? Because they seem to have continued to put it together, even though they've had, the dropsies. But it's like, I don't know.
There's
Swifties.
definitely some chinks in the armor
Gotta watch it.
with the Chiefs this year for sure. They are lacking reliable targets on offense, as you mentioned. I think that I got something popped up on my screen. Oh,
Cool.
boy. Hold on.
You got the blue screen
No.
of death?
Nope, we're good. Okay.
All right.
So I think that, like I said, they're lacking reliable targets, which is a problem. They can still beat anybody. They're still very well coached. Patrick Mahomes is a dynamic player. Obviously,
Yes.
Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the football. One of the best tight ends probably that will ever play the game. And when it comes to the Taylor Swift stuff, I think most of that is one, Chiefs fans are probably sick and tired of hearing it's like not about the Chiefs and how good they are anymore. It's about Taylor
Yeah.
Swift.
Hmm.
Which is just I'm sure they just find that annoying. And then, you know, then you have all these people, all these eyes and all these new Chiefs fans because of Taylor Swift exclusively. And I think she's very polarizing. For not being a very controversial person, she's very polarizing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of those like it's more like I think it's like the Cowboys. People don't necessarily have a problem with the Cowboys football players. They have a problem with Cowboys fans, right? They dislike Cowboys fans, and so by nature they dislike the Cowboys. And so they find their fans obnoxious. And I think that it's something like that. I don't think that people necessarily have an issue with Taylor Swift. It's all of her crazy ass fans, and so as a result, they dislike her. And then when you bring in Travis Kelce into the equation, it's definitely weird, and I'm sure it's seen as somewhat of a distraction. Again, taking the spotlight off of the football a little bit, but I mean, the NFL is probably loving it. I think I heard they're probably setting records for Travis Kelce jersey sales and stuff like that. So,
By the way, the review went in favor of the Huskies, so obviously I have it muted over here. I can't hear it, but Huskies have the ball, and they are.
So not how is that not illegal touching then?
I don't know. There was an explanation that I did not hear. So if anybody who is watching with the sound on, let us know what the explanation was. But I hear you. So let me ask you a question. When you talk about most valuable player, we didn't talk about the Heisman. We mentioned it with Jalen Milroe, but I think it's a little. I mean, the Heisman winner could come out of this game. Whoever wins this game could end up being the Heisman winner. But MVP, like when you think of value, right now quarterbacks pretty much get it. But like, what is it like when you think about value? Like, what does it mean for you? Like, is it position specific, or can a guy have value outside of being the most important player on the field, like a quarterback?
Well, a guy could certainly have value. I think that really what the person who wins the MVP is ultimately, I guess, who people perceive to be the best player, right? It's not that I don't know that they're technically the most valuable player to their team necessarily, but because that's all relative or whatever. I guess that
True.
just means in general, you're the most valuable player to have out of everyone. So I don't know, man. I think that as a coach, I see value. I see value maybe where other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
In players, just because you see the game a little differently. But I see there's a flag on the play. Again, was there an interception with the flag or a breakup with the flag?
No. I would have reacted had there been
But
anything like
passing
that.
interference, so I'm guessing on the Ducks.
Yep.
Yeah, PI
So
on the Ducks. So, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting question. Who do I think the MVP is now? I don't know.
but it's got to be Mahomes and Hurts. But my one I want to throw in there is McCaffrey, because like if you watch the 49ers play, I mean, Brock Purdy's obviously playing well, but like that guy does everything for them. Like he is a safety valve for Brock Purdy in so many ways, running the football, catching the football. He's having one of his best seasons, maybe not statistically, right, in terms of his best season he's ever had, but like that guy is extremely valuable to that team. And he's having the kind of season where I think the 49ers are where they are because of how good he has been for them and reliable and healthy. And those things are not two things that you see too much out of them. So that'll be something that we'll discuss.
John Gruden would call him the Joker, right? A Joker. He's a Joker, man. He's good in every hand, like it's just, and he is. The guy does everything.
I agree.
And when you talk about that, that's a great. That didn't even pop into my head, but yeah, you talk about the most valuable player to have. I don't know how he couldn't be in the conversation.
I agree. Like, and he won't win it because he's a running back, but like, if he's not on that team, Brock Purdy probably looks closer to Mr. Irrelevant than he does what he's looking like now. I mean, he's making baller throws. Do not get me wrong, but like, it helps when you got a guy like that, and that guy is producing. Like, it's got to be so comforting to know, okay, if this play doesn't work, just going to give it to this guy who's probably going to run for 20 yards after the catch, because that's just the way that it works. So week slate in the NFL as we get what looks like a stop on third down by the Ducks. We'll see what Washington decides to do. I don't think Washington is quite as aggressive as Dan Lanning has been, but we will see, because they got that.
I mean,
big
even a
Phoenix
field goal
energy,
is still
man.
a one possession game.
Yep, I agree.
So it's like,
yeah, and I don't know,
man.
I don't know if a field goal is going to get done for you. in this
Yeah, I
game.
mean, I think you got to slow down the whatever momentum you feel like Oregon has. I think,
Yep.
and I don't think a field goal does that. I think that if you're Oregon, you're going to see that field goal as a win, if you hold them to that, because you just come down and score and you can take the lead.
Yep.
So I think if you're Washington, you got to put the pressure back on Oregon.
Totally agree. The analytics also agree with you on 4th and 5 or less. You go for it. And it looked, big play by the Ducks there. I'll let you announce exactly what the play was, but big play. And so this is a week slate of NFL games, my man. So I think 49ers and Eagles is the only game really worth mentioning. There's some other
Surprised the
games.
Niners are such a big favorite on the road.
I was surprised about that too. But you and I have had some spreads this year where we've been surprised, and the games have been, the games have been where Vegas said that they were. So you and I clearly know nothing.
Oh yeah,
That's
big
what
sack.
I know. Yeah,
Big
sack
sack
on
for the turnover.
Yep.
Turnover on down, so the Ducks will take over from just inside their own 40-yard line.
Yeah, so there's a lot to like this weekend in football. The notes are done. We're just going to chat it up for a little bit, and then we will let you go. Coach is rubbing his eyes. It's almost bedtime for the old coach over there. I'm surprised you don't have a sipping beverage with you today.
No, man. I honestly, in my cup there, I put a little Sprite Zero. Zero
look at
sugar
you.
Sprite. I don't really care for Sprite that much. For some reason, though, I like the taste of the Sprite Zero, which is, I think, probably just diet Sprite is realistically
That's
probably all
exactly what it is.
But,
That's exactly what it is.
branded, but I enjoy it. No, man, with just the illness, my stomach hasn't really been up for any extracurricular activities in the beverage department. So, yeah. So dad posted there. So, Brad, we talked about Bradley basketball for a minute.
Sure.
So the Braves had a bit of a fall from grace. So they started off 6-0. They got one vote in the AP Top 25.
Number one ranked team in the former RPI.
Number one ranked team in the former RPI, which is wild. I guess that's probably a clear indicator why they do not use that anymore. They went to Murray State because they mixed two conference games in here, and then they'll go back and finish out the non-con and then continue conference games after the first of the year. They went to Murray State. Now, Murray State is, picked to be a middle of the pack team in the Valley, but they won 8 out of their 10 conference home games last year. They have a great home court advantage. I mean, there's nothing really unique about, when you watch it, I'm not like, man, like these people are crazy or anything, but just they play really well in their building. And Bradley lost there last year, and they went down there, I think it was Wednesday night, and just could never really put it together. I think they only led the game once. It was 2-0. And then just from that, I mean, and it stretched out to, 10 to 12 at one point. I think Bradley got it back within 4 late in the second half, but just couldn't. They had a couple opportunities at the free throw line. I think they went 0 for 4, 0 for 5 from the line late in the second half. And then, Murray State made all their free throws when it got into that period of time where you foul, and they couldn't miss. So it was just they could never get it down to a one possession game. Their guards, Bradley's guards, didn't play well. They just couldn't really get it going. But so anyways, big home game tomorrow. They host Indiana State, alma mater of the Larry Bird.
That's right.
Indiana
Sycamores,
State,
right?
Yep, Sycamores. Yes, the trees, and they are. I want to say, my dad correct me. I think they're 6-7-1, something like that. Maybe 6-2. They're off to a really good start, and they're very good, and they're well coached. They hit a couple home runs in the transfer portal. They got a couple guards that are freaking a ton, and Bradley's going to have to play much better tomorrow. 6-1, yeah. So Bradley's going to play much better tomorrow. Bradley 6-1 also than they did on Wednesday night with the good Indiana State team coming to town. Games at 1:00 tomorrow afternoon. We will be in attendance. Hopefully, it's a decent turnout. But no, I think it's on CBS Sports. So at 1 p.m. Central, so that's 2 Eastern. Yeah, their only loss was to Alabama on the road for Indiana State. So, they've had a good non-conference schedule so far. And I think after this, Bradley goes to Akron. And Akron's had a good start of the season. They played Duquesne. Then they played Cleveland State at home. They played Duquesne at LeBron James High School gym.
Yes. That's so
or whatever. Because Duquesne's coach is LeBron James High School coach, but they're playing it at. I guess they do that like once a year. It's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Yeah. So yeah, my dad said Indiana State played that game without their best big man. So it's Bradley's figuring some things out. They've got some talent. They're a little short on guard depth. They sent one of the guys they got in the transfer portal. They sent the guy packing before like the first game. There was something, I think, I don't know, just wasn't a good fit culturally, I'm guessing. I see what appears to be
Big play by the Ducks.
Is there a
just
big
now.
play?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get there.
Big play by Bo Nix.
Yeah, so big play. But I haven't seen it yet. Looks like it's coming up here because I got 2nd and 3 right now. Bo Nix getting ready to snap the ball.
Unconventionally getting a big chunk play. I like it.
So
when
he
that
must
happens.
pulls it down and runs for it. There he goes around the left side.
Yep, totally.
Oh wow, yep.
Yeah,
didn't even step out of bounds.
Nope, he was getting there.
Yeah,
so what will the Iceman be doing tomorrow? Well, let me tell you what I'm be doing. If you look behind me, I have decorated. Okay,
I love it.
I know, right? So this ceramic tree back here was once in Master James's room. Now I never had one of these growing up.
That thing is beautiful,
right? So I never had one of these growing up, but when I moved here, a lot of people who I knew from Pennsylvania had those, and I was like, that's awesome. I want one of those. And I found one, I think it was like 70% off after Christmas one year. So I bought another one this year when we were at Hobby Lobby. It's like one of James's favorite stores. And so that one is in his room, and this one came up here. The only thing about this is all these lights come out. It's a pain in the ass to put in, but it's like, whatever. I love it. I love this thing. And then this was a pick from Mrs. Ice back here, Mr. and Mrs. And so those are, now Santa does not sit up by himself. So that's why he's leaning up against the shelf because he would fall over like the drunken man that he actually is. And then we have, of course, Mrs. Claus. So what I will be doing tomorrow, while my family, big play here, scoring play here by the Ducks, my family is making goodies. They're going to be making some cookies tomorrow, which are going to be sent to the Powell family, along with some exquisite Christmas blend coffee from Fresh Market, which is a sort of a specialty grocery store around here. I'm going to be, and I use this term exactly this way, I'm going to be dicking around with the outside lights because that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like Christmas Vacation, Clark falling off the roof, a whole mess. But at the end of it all, they will be up. The Santa will be lit up, and it will be amazing. So,
can your wife do a video of you like doing the 2 chords plugged together, countdown, drum roll?
So I am very particular about that. And one year I did it. Everything works together, right? But I accidentally put the plug that needed to plug into the outlet all the way on the other side of the garage. So I had to run an extension cord in front of the garage all the way over to it because they're already up. I could not do anything about it. I'm not going to go redo it. And so I'm very, very cautious about, okay, I need to make sure that this plug is here, 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 and here. Last year I did not put up a lot of lights because we had the porch redone. Now the biggest problem this year is I got to get those little white hooks, the ones that like screw them in. So that's going to take for friggin' ever to screw them all in. But once they're in forever. Like I'm not taking them out. They're white. They match the trim and all that. And then I have to caulk around them because you don't want like rain and stuff getting in there, and you got wood rot underneath. And so this is going to be a time-consuming process. I'm probably going to get pissed a few times. I know that I am. I'm probably going to think that I'm slipping and falling off the roof at least once. And my neighbors are going to be looking at me and thinking, I wonder if this asshole is going to fall off this roof into the bushes. But I will survive it, and it will be very.
What about you? You'll do like just the little gutter clips, or do you have like gutter guards?
We have gutter guards now. That's the other problem. Is we got gutter guards, so it's like, okay, now I can't, because normally I would. That's all I did. I clipped all the way down. We're good, but now I can't do that. So that'll be what I'll be doing. But I genuinely enjoy it, and I do like doing it. But like I know that it's going to be an all day affair. And I know that there's other stuff that's going to be happening in the house. So it'll be nice, though, because it's rained all day today. So I get very festive this time of year, which is why I start, doing this kind of stuff. I mean, with the background, it's like, why not, right? So I have to remain. We will be festive this whole time.
That's
that we
awesome.
Are doing this
Ducks up 23-20.
This is
going. I'm assuming getting ready to kick extra point here.
Yes. So
we lost some listeners. I guess we go Christmas talk. Everybody bails.
Yeah,
we still
but
got the old man and Jonah still around. We got our 2 loyal followers.
We do. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock here on the East Coast. Dan Lanning is fired up. I'm sure Budge is having a great time. So we will start to close this out. Let's do all the particulars. If you want to find us on social media, you kind of know. I guess I can put it up to the camera. Maybe you can read it a little bit better. No. How about TikTok at INC Sports, Twitter at Iceman and Coach, Facebook INC Sports, Twitch. Right now we had a watcher the whole time. I still can't figure out who this person is, but they've been watching it on Twitch every time we go live now. And you can find it at INC Sports. YouTube, obviously, if you're watching here, hit subscribe. If you haven't, like our friend from the Pacific Northwest, we actually had a new subscriber this week. I'm not sure who it was, but thank you to whoever you are doing that. If you want to listen to all of our other episodes, this live stuff doesn't get put out in audio, but we do audio, even though we've been a little bit lazy about that lately. Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And as the flag says up here, MattyIceMediaNetwork.com, where we have other podcast stuff, but I'm actually going to start putting up my photography stuff because I've been getting into that. And why the hell not, right? You want to come looking for some stuff, you can find it there. So I don't know about next week. I'm going to be leaving for my parents' house on Friday. We're going to do a little long weekend into the next week. So we'll probably go live before next Friday, I assume. And we'll talk about everything that happened last week. But we're kind of doing like a pre-Christmas up there. And then I'll be back and off of work for 3 weeks.
You lucky son of a gun. That's awesome, man. No, this is it's been a great episode. It's been a lot of fun to be back at it. I think we had plenty of fun things to talk about. It's nice having the game going on in the background. Had some good interaction from everybody in the chat. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Remember tomorrow, obviously everybody's going to be tied up in conference championship football. Totally understandable. But if you get a moment, tune into CBS Sports Network, watch the Bradley Braves a little bit, and catch a little mid-major basketball action. Two good teams going to be going at it. So looking forward to that and following the games throughout the day. I think we're going to have an exciting finish here in Vegas in the Pac-12 title game too. So thanks again, everybody. It's been a blast. And again, great weekend of sports coming up.
I agree. Now, we will get back to our normal programming once the new year hits. Holiday season, it's busy. We're tired. It's been a good year, though, really. And we'll recap the year, I'm sure, as we get to the end of the season. We may do some more lives. We'll see what happens, but we'll definitely be live next week. We'll be live every week until the end of the season as we close some of this stuff out. And just bear with us. We'll get back to posting some episodes in audio and doing our normal cadence in a new way with live stuff. So we're excited about the new year, but we're going to spend time with family, spend time with you all. We appreciate everything that you do for this channel as we continue to grow. We started this channel earlier this year with 0 subscribers, and we are over 300. So can't complain about that kind of growth. But everybody who has been watching, listening, whatever it is you do, hope that this finds you well and safe as always. Enjoy watching the rest of this game, and we'll see you later next week. This is Football Friday.